Sometimes in life, there are moments that arrive very quietly. No knock on the door, no warning ahead of time, just a passing glance, a sentence that seems completely ordinary, or a feeling that brushes lightly against your heart. And suddenly, you pause. For Pisces, this meeting arrives exactly like that. Not loud, not dramatic, but in that very instant you know, not with logic, not with reason. You know through a deep, honest intuition. Something feels different, something feels familiar, something makes your soul slow down, just for a breath. This new love does not enter your life through surface attraction or grand promises spoken too soon. It arrives like morning light, slipping through a narrow doorway, gentle yet bright enough to illuminate the entire room. You are not overwhelmed, you are not pulled off your center. You simply feel safe, and for a soul that has walked through real pain, that sense of safety is more precious than anything else. This is not coincidence, it is not random luck. This meeting is the result of many nights you spent sitting quietly with yourself. The times you chose silence instead of explaining. The moments you let go even while your heart still hurt. The seasons when you learned how to be alone without feeling empty. You walked roads no one witnessed. You cried tears no one needed to wipe away. You stitched the cracks in your soul yourself with patience and compassion for who you were becoming. And then, when you stopped searching for love to fill a void, when you no longer waited for someone to come and save you, love appeared, not to fix you, not to heal you, but to walk beside you. This person does not come to change you, they come and recognize you. They see you in your vulnerability, in your emotional depth, even in the parts you once believed were too much. And for the first time, you do not feel the need to shrink to fit into someone else's world. There is a strange familiarity between two souls like this. No need for many words, no long explanations. Just being there, breathing at the same slow rhythm. As if two people learned the same life lesson at different moments in time, and now meet when both are finally ready to understand, ready to value, ready to move gently. Pisces. What makes this encounter special is not how beautiful it looks from the outside, but who you have become to be able to receive it. You learned how to love without losing yourself. You learned how to open your heart while still honoring your boundaries. You came to understand that love is not self-sacrifice, but growing together with respect and tenderness. This moment is like standing by the ocean at dusk. The waves still move, the wind still blows, but inside you, there is a different kind of calm. You do not need to go anywhere. You simply stand there, letting everything unfold naturally. No rush to name it, no pressure on the future, just allowing yourself to feel. And when you allow yourself to stay in that feeling, without judgment, without doubt, something beautiful begins to spread, not only in love, but in how you see life, in how you treat yourself, in the quiet belief that good things do arrive when we are gentle enough to notice them and brave enough to open our hearts and receive. And from that quiet space, you begin to notice a very subtle shift happening inside you, not the restless excitement you once felt, not a racing heartbeat driven by the fear of losing something, but a slow, steady groundedness, as if you were standing firmly on your own 2 feet, watching love walk toward you instead of chasing after it. The Pisces you are now has traveled a long road. There were stretches you once believed you would never make it through. Past relationships left behind more questions than answers. You loved through sacrifice. You gave more than you truly had. You believed that if you were patient enough, everything would eventually be okay. But time taught you a very different lesson. That love is not a place where you disappear just to keep someone else from leaving. That no one comes into your life to fill the empty spaces you have not yet dared to face yourself. So you began learning how to stay with your own emotions, without avoiding them, without blaming anyone. You allowed yourself to feel tired. You allowed yourself to feel sad. And most importantly, you allowed yourself to say no. Boundaries stopped feeling like cold walls. They became the way you protect your own gentleness. And when you no longer had to strain yourself to prove your worth, you realized something deeply true. You were already enough. From that inner fullness, the way you love began to change. You no longer love out of fear of loneliness. You no longer love to search for something to lean on. You love because you want to share, because you want to walk alongside someone. Two people moving together, each still fully themselves. Love is no longer a wave that pulls you under. It becomes calm water, carrying you more slowly, more deeply, more safely. There is a quiet kind of maturity in the way you listen now. You no longer rush to explain. You no longer rush to label everything. You observe your own feelings with kindness, and you look at the other person with more compassion as well. You understand that everyone carries their own stories, their own scars, and that no one enters another person's life perfectly formed. But what is different now is that you no longer abandon yourself to hold someone else's story. And then, in this state of being, you realize that your heart is open, but no longer fragile like before. It opens through awareness. It opens through self-respect. It opens through conscious choice. You do not hand the key to your heart to just anyone because of a passing feeling. You listen to your intuition. You sense the energy. You allow time to reveal the truth of what something really is. There are small, ordinary moments that make you smile quietly to yourself. A conversation that does not drain you. A silence that does not make you uneasy. A look that does not ask you to change. And suddenly, you understand. This is the way you have been waiting to love for a very long time. No drama, no pulling, no tension. Just the full presence of two people who are already whole. When you stand in this place, the world around you seems to respond. Everything slows down. Everything deepens. You stop chasing chaotic signals and begin recognizing what is truly meant for you, as if life itself is gently whispering. When you are ready to love in a new way, what enters your life will take on a very different form, more gentle, more honest, and safe enough that you no longer need to shrink yourself to belong. And in that quiet space where you no longer have to strain yourself to love or to be loved, something unfamiliar begins to take shape. Not an explosive rush, not a lightning strike through the heart, but a silent recognition. So deep you don't even need to name it. Like walking into a place you've never seen before, yet somehow knowing you've been there already. Nothing feels new, it feels familiar. Familiar enough that your heart relaxes, even before your mind has time to ask questions. Between the two of you, there is an invisible thread. You can't see it, but it's always there. It doesn't pull, it doesn't bind, it simply connects quietly. You don't have to tell your entire life story, yet the other person seems to understand. Through a look, through the rhythm of breath, through knowing when silence is needed. There are things you've never said to anyone, and yet with this person, you no longer feel the need to hide them. Not because you are forced to reveal yourself, but because you know you are safe being exactly who you are. This connection does not leave you feeling lost. It does the opposite. It steadies you. No one is rushing you, no one is demanding anything. Everything moves slowly, like two parallel rivers gradually finding the same current. There is no need to outrun time, no fear if the answers haven't appeared yet. For the first time in a long while, you don't need to guess what the other person is thinking or worry about whether you are enough. There is a very real sense of peace in the way the two of you simply exist together. A conversation that doesn't leave you drained, a silence that doesn't make you uneasy. You don't have to be more interesting, stronger, or sweeter to keep this connection alive. You just have to be there, and that is enough. Pisces. This sense of familiarity doesn't come from a specific past. It comes from two souls who have walked through similar lessons, who have known pain, who have known loss, who have doubted themselves, and then, each in their own way, learned how to turn inward, to heal, and to grow. When journeys like that cross, recognition is unavoidable. Not because destiny was written in advance, but because both of you have become the kind of people who can recognize one another. You feel understood without being judged, heard without being analyzed, touched without being invaded. And in these small, ordinary moments, your heart softens. You no longer stay on guard. You no longer try to predict what will happen if you open yourself just a little more. Because deep down, you know this connection didn't come to take anything from you. It came to be cared for, together. And maybe that's why there's no need to rush, no need to push forward, no need to define or promise anything right away. Just allowing things to be exactly what they are. Because when safety is present, when understanding has begun to grow, what is forming doesn't need to prove itself with words. It grows on its own, it deepens on its own, and it naturally finds the shape that fits both of you best, moving in a rhythm that only truly aligned souls can feel. And within that gentle sense of safety, things you thought had long been closed begin to be touched again, not through digging, not by reopening old pain, but through a presence soft enough to let old wounds speak on their own. There are sorrows you once believed you had already moved past, when in truth, you had simply tucked them away very deep. Now, without the need to stay guarded, without the fear of being hurt again, they rise quietly to the surface, not to bring you down, but to be seen and finally released. This love does not ask you why you were once vulnerable. It does not demand explanations for the darker corners of your heart. It does not come to fix you. It does not come to save you. It is simply there, close enough that you don't feel alone, far enough that you remain fully yourself. And in that perfectly balanced space, healing happens naturally, like warmth slowly spreading through a cold room. No words required, no instructions needed. You begin to notice that you no longer doubt your own feelings. You no longer ask yourself whether you love too deeply, think too much, or feel too intensely. The very things that once made you misunderstood are now met with listening. You no longer have to shrink your heart to fit someone else's comfort. You are allowed to be you, fully, with all of your sensitivity, your intuition, your depth. There is a very real sense of relief when you no longer have to hold everything together. No more trying to control your emotions. No more playing the role of strength when you are tired inside. You are allowed to be tired, allowed to be quiet, allowed not to have all the answers. And the strange, beautiful thing is this. When you allow yourself that grace, love does not leave. It stays, steady, quiet. The wounds created in past relationships no longer repeat themselves, not because you have become harder, but because you are now in a connection that does not activate old pain. You no longer guess what the other person means. You no longer fear that speaking the truth will make everything fall apart. Every conversation, whether easy or difficult, carries the same feeling: respect. Pisces, the deepest kind of healing is not when the past disappears, but when it no longer controls the present. And in this relationship, you slowly realize that you are no longer reacting from old wounds. You are choosing from awareness. You do not close your heart, but you do not throw it wide open in innocence either. You open it just enough for light to come in, and for darkness to find its way out. There are very ordinary moments, small, almost unnoticeable, yet incredibly powerful. A touch that doesn't make you pull away. A kindness that doesn't make you question the intention behind it. Care that comes without conditions. And little by little, trust returns, quietly, without announcements, without promises. Just a deeply real knowing that this time, you do not have to trade your peace to be loved. And when trust returns, quietly, almost without effort, you begin to feel the movement happening inside your life more clearly. Not a sharp turn, not a change that flips everything upside down. Just a very real sense that you are walking a different path now. A path not filled with constant drama or repeated challenges, but carried by the steadiness of someone who knows who they are and no longer needs to prove it to anyone. What is present now does not carry the scent of the past. There is no familiar anxiety that history will repeat itself. No quiet fear that everything will eventually fall apart the same way again. You realize you are no longer living in defense mode, no longer trying to read the future just to protect yourself. You are more rooted in the present, feeling each moment with a clear, gentle heart. There is a visible maturity in how you approach love this time. You no longer enter a relationship bracing yourself to play a role. No need to become more perfect. No need to reshape yourself to fit someone else's expectations. You understand now that if you must change your essence to be loved, then that love was never meant for you. And the beautiful part is this: you no longer need to say it out loud. You simply live as yourself, and what truly fits finds its way to you. This kind of partnership has a very different shape, not holding hands tightly out of fear of losing each other, but walking side by side with trust. Each of you has your own space without feeling distant. Each of you carries an inner world without feeling alone inside the relationship. You begin to understand that love is no longer about dissolving into one another, but about moving together. No one is left behind. No one has to give up their voice. Pisces, perhaps what matters most right now is not how far love will go, but how honestly you are living with every step you take. You no longer love from fear of loss. You love from presence. You no longer cling to what is unclear. You allow things to reveal themselves in their own time. And it is this trust that creates a solid foundation, the very thing you once believed was the most fragile. There are ordinary evenings with no grand confessions, no dramatic plans for the future, yet your heart feels fuller than ever before. Just a slow conversation, a quiet kind of care, a look that is not in a hurry, and suddenly you realize happiness is not the feeling of flying high. It is the feeling of standing firmly on the ground, safe and understood. You begin to look back at the road you've traveled with gratitude, the mistakes, the relationships that once hurt you. No resentment, no regret. Because without those paths, you would not be standing here today. Strong enough to receive what is good, clear enough to recognize the value of peace. And as you live from this place, the world seems to respond with a new rhythm. Nothing feels rushed, nothing feels forced. Life opens in a gentler way, offering you the chance to build, to choose, to grow within love without having to sacrifice yourself. There is a quiet, deep knowing that what is being planted now is not only for today. It is the foundation for the days ahead, not through promises, but through the way you and the other person show up, listen, and move slowly together. And in moments like these, something truly beautiful is forming, not loudly, not needing a name, just a soft certainty that this time you are stepping into something that truly deserves your heart. And then, within that gentle sense of certainty, something even more important begins to be felt. Not through thought, but through a quiet permission rising from within. You no longer stand in front of love with guarded hesitation. You no longer tell yourself that everything must be controlled to avoid being hurt. You understand now that some things in life can only bloom when we trust enough to loosen our grip. Pisces, fear once protected you through difficult years. It helped you survive. It showed you your limits. It kept you from losing yourself in unhealthy connections. But you are no longer in that place. You are older now, clearer, stronger. And what once served as armor no longer needs to be worn all day. You can set it down. Not because the world has become perfect, but because you are strong enough to choose what truly fits you. There is a subtle but powerful difference between opening your heart unconsciously and opening it with awareness. This time, you are not offering your heart hoping someone will stay. You open because you trust your ability to sense, to discern, to choose. You no longer love from the fear of abandonment. You love from the full presence of someone who knows their own worth. When love is received from this place, it is no longer a game of chance. It becomes a meaningful meeting. No need to rush into naming the future. No need to prove anything to the world. Just allowing everything to unfold at the right pace, at the right moment, with the right person. You don't need to chase. You don't need to stand still and wait. You live fully in the present, and what is meant for you finds its own way to arrive. There are very small moments that quietly mark an entire journey. When you realize you no longer ask if something is too good to be true. When you stop checking your feelings through the lens of doubt. When you smile without needing a clear reason. That is when you know you are exactly where you are meant to be. The Pisces you are now does not need another painful lesson to grow. You have learned enough. You do not need another relationship to test your limits or your endurance. You deserve gentleness, a connection that does not make you question yourself, a love that does not ask you to trade away your peace. And if there is one thing worth holding close to your heart right now, it is trust in the natural order of life. When you live honestly, fully, aligned with your values, what does not belong will quietly fall away. What is meant for you will never require struggle. It arrives with clarity, with safety, with a presence that allows you to breathe deeply without fear. You may not yet know where this story will lead. The future may still hold turns not yet drawn on the map, but that no longer unsettles you, because you understand that no matter what happens, you will not lose yourself again. And that is the strongest foundation any love can have. In the quiet stillness of this moment, allow yourself to believe a little more. Believe that you did not arrive late to happiness. Believe that what is opening now is not a random reward, but the result of a long journey you bravely walked through. Believe that this time, love has not come to teach you how to endure, but to walk with you into a life that is deeper, richer, and whole. And as you move forward with that belief, no announcements needed, no declarations required, just living in rhythm with your own heart, you begin to see that this special thing does not need to be held tightly. It stays, quietly, steadily, like a gentle reminder that in the end, the love most worthy of you always arrives when you are finally ready to receive it with a peaceful heart